Am I the asshole for calling my wife unreasonable for backing out of spending Christmas with my family after my mother rejected her cookie sample? Context. For every holiday, my mother would ask the women in the family, my sisters, sister-in-law, my wife, my female cousins, to send samples of the desserts they planned to bring to the celebration for testing and to see if these desserts could make it to the food menu. My wife has been complaining about my mother deliberately rejecting every dessert sample she sent. So many times, my mother has told her that she's being honest and keeping the guest's best interest at heart. Yet my wife still thought that my mother is deliberately excluding her since 2 of her dessert samples were rejected before. For this year's Christmas, my mother is doing the same thing, but this time she told every woman who is participating to make a cookie sample and send it to her for testing. My wife took it as a challenge, and to be honest, she worked really hard to make a good sample and sent it to my mother days ago, and the results just came in yesterday. I came home from work and found my wife upset. I asked what's wrong, and she told me that my mother rejected the sample she sent and decided to exclude her baking from the food list/menu for Christmas this year. I didn't know what to say, but she then told me she was backing out of the invitation to attend Christmas with my family. I was stunned when I heard her make this statement. I tried to talk to her, but she said it was done. I called her unreasonable to decide to bail on the whole family over some cookie sample. That's just freaking crazy and quite unreasonable. We had a full-on argument about it, and she stated that my mother caused this, but I told her that my mother is pretty serious and careful about the food she offers to the guests since we are going to have relatives coming from all sides of the country. She told me to stop mentioning it. Later, I heard her cry. Despite telling her that her baking is amazing and people have preferences, that's all. Am I the asshole for insisting that her decision was unreasonable? Info. If you're asking whose cookie sample made it to the menu, the answer is my sister and my 2 cousins. Info. Few things to put on here. 1. My wife wasn't the only one whose sample was rejected. We have sister-in-laws, brother's wife, and my younger sisters. 2. My mother did not force anyone to participate. It was up to whoever wanted to take part. 3. This is just about the dessert, since my mother tends to be very careful in this category, but for other types of foods, dishes, appetizers, salads, stuff like that is welcome, as she stated. Update. Great. So I just got off the phone with my brother, and he told me that his wife is doing the same thing as my wife, and that she has decided to back out of the invitation to spend Christmas with my family as well. Turns out my wife must have told her about her decision, and she decided to follow her lead. My brother is pissed, saying my wife is encouraging his wife to do this. I see that the problem has just gotten bigger now. Who knows? My younger sister might join in and decide not to go as well. I don't know how this got out of control so quickly. I guess we'll try to have a discussion with my mother about this soon and see how this goes. Oh my god. Top comment here. So correct me if I'm wrong, but for years and years, your mother has demanded that all the women, why not men too, in your family send in samples. For years and years, your wife has tried her hardest to appease your mother, had pushed herself to the limit, and has been left completely and utterly demoralized each and every time by a humiliating tradition enforced by the holiday tyrant. And even worse, her shame was publicly put on display each and every year, as other family members would no doubt notice that, once again, her food was not chosen. Finally, after producing something she was unbelievably proud of, she was once again left embarrassed and most likely deeply hurt, as she was deemed not good enough for yet another year. This is the straw that broke the camel's back, and she decides she has had enough of her humiliation and that she will not give her cruel mother-in-law the satisfaction of seeing her discomfort on such a big day. She makes a boundary that many would have made a long time prior, and her husband tells her she was unreasonable for setting up boundaries? Dude, come on. You know you the asshole. I would 100% agree with that statement. I'm trying to see, is there any way that makes this okay? What if the mother-in-law is Rachel Ray? Someone who is like super serious about cooking and takes it super seriously and has, for us muggles, unreasonable standards. Even then, would that be okay? I still don't think it would be. That's just a massive amount of control for one person to institute on a family, and maybe that's okay in some part of the world that I've never been to. Something that does strike me odd is that OP is not fazed by this at all, which means that it's the world he grew up in. This is a complete difference of worldview. OP has been indoctrinated into this over a long period of time since birth, so he knows no different. And I would say that there are customs within families that are like that for everyone, not to this level. This is a massive amount of control being exerted by one person. Somehow she's created like a Rachel Ray gladiator show where her underlings compete for her affection. But OP's wife knew that, or she wouldn't have wanted to play the game. So it's not okay. None of it is okay. But it also seems like a very complex family situation. And if this is a worldview / cultural thing, then ain't nobody got no answers.